December 22, 1939 marked a significant moment in the tumultuous history of China during World War II. As the world focused on the European theater and the escalating conflict between Finland and the Soviet Union, trouble brewed in China, where the Chinese nationalists and the invading Japanese forces clashed in a struggle for control and survival. Background: in the years leading up to World War II, China was embroiled in a bitter civil war between the Chinese nationalist government, led by Chiang Kai-shek, and the communist forces under Mao Zedong. The nation was also grappling with external threats, particularly from Japan, which had been expanding its influence in China since the early 20th century. By December 1939, Japan had already launched a full-scale invasion of China, occupying large swaths of territory and subjecting the Chinese people to brutal repression and exploitation. The conflict between China and Japan, often referred to as the Second Sino-Japanese War, had been raging since 1937, but the events of December 22 would bring new challenges and tragedies. Trouble erupts. On December 22, 1939, the city of Nanjing, already scarred by the infamous Nanjing Massacre of 1937, once again became the epicenter of violence and suffering. Japanese forces intensified their campaign to subdue the Chinese resistance, unleashing a wave of terror and destruction upon the city and its inhabitants. The streets of Nanjing ran red with blood as Japanese soldiers indiscriminately slaughtered civilians and committed unspeakable atrocities. Women were raped, children were massacred, and homes were looted and set ablaze. The horrors of December 22, 1939 served as a stark reminder of the brutality of war and the human cost of unchecked aggression. International response. The events in China on December 22, 1939 shocked the world and prompted condemnation from various quarters. Western nations, already preoccupied with the war in Europe, denounced Japan's actions but were reluctant to intervene directly in the conflict. The League of Nations, weakened by internal divisions and the absence of major powers such as the United States, struggled to address the escalating crisis in Asia. Despite the lack of robust international support, the Chinese people continued to resist Japanese aggression with courage and determination. The Chinese nationalist government, though plagued by internal strife and corruption, rallied the nation's resources and mobilized the populace in a desperate bid to repel the invaders. Legacy. The events of December 22, 1939 cast a long shadow over the history of China and the broader context of World War II. The Second Sino-Japanese War, often overshadowed by the conflicts in Europe, exacted a heavy toll on China, with millions of lives lost and entire cities reduced to rubble. The atrocities committed by Japanese forces in Nanjing and other parts of China remain a painful chapter in the collective memory of the Chinese people, and serve as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked aggression and the importance of preserving peace and stability in the world. As the world remembers the events of December 22, 1939, it must also strive to learn from the mistakes of the past and work towards a future where such tragedies are never repeated.